I stood on the porch of the massive rented log cabin, my suitcase still in my hand. Snowflakes were melting on my coat. I hadn't even made it inside. My mother, Jennifer, was blocking the doorway, her face tight with a rage I knew too well. "You are ruining this family's Christmas, Sarah," she said, her voice like ice. "You will give your sister that $80,000. Or you can leave right now." From the sofa behind her, I could see my sister Chloe smirk and lift her phone. She was recording. We were back in that moment, frozen in the doorway. The fake logs in the fireplace crackled, but the room was silent. My mother's face was a mask of cold fury. "You will give your sister that $80,000, or you can leave right now." From the couch, I could see my sister Chloe lift her phone, the little red light on. She was filming. A smirk played on her lips. They were all waiting for the usual, waiting for me to argue, to try and explain, to justify my own savings, waiting for the tears, the pleading, the eventual broken okay. My mother, my father, my sister, my whole life I had been the pressure valve for this family, the fixer, the one who absorbed the tension, paid the overdrafted bill, and then took the blame for the stress of it all. They expected me to break. A strange calm washed over me. It wasn't anger. It wasn't even sadness. It was clarity, like a signal I'd been waiting for, cutting through the static. I looked past my mother at my father, who was suddenly fascinated by the wood grain on the mantel, and at Chloe, who was already planning the caption for the video. No, I said it. Just the one word. It was quiet, but it landed in that room like a bomb. No one moved. My mother's mouth opened slightly. "This wasn't in the script," Chloe's smirk faltered. Even my father glanced up, his corporate mask flickering with genuine shock. They were prepared for a fight, for a negotiation. They were not prepared for me to simply accept the exile. I didn't give them time to recover. I didn't give them another word. I bent down, picked up the overnight bag I had just set on the floor, the one with my gifts still in it, and I turned around. I opened the heavy log door, and I walked out into the snow. I didn't slam it. I just closed it firmly behind me, shutting out the fake warmth, the fake tree, and the real suffocating weight of their demands. The cold air hit my face, and it felt like the first clean breath I'd taken in years. The snow was coming down hard, and my car was already covered. As I wiped it off, I expected the door to fly open. I expected my mother to come running out screaming, or my father trying to reason with me. Nothing. Just the muffled sound of their Christmas music from inside. I got in the car, started the engine, and just sat there for a second, my hands shaking on the wheel. Not from fear, from release. I didn't drive back to my old apartment. This wasn't a snap decision. This was Plan B, a plan I had been quietly building for 6 months, hoping I'd never have to use. I drove downtown to a clean, minimalist high-rise. I parked in the secured garage in a space that was registered under my name and took the elevator up to the 12th floor. I unlocked the door to Unit 1204, a small one-bedroom condo I had leased 2 weeks ago under the radar. It was empty, completely empty, except for an air mattress I'd had delivered, a folding chair, and my work laptop in its bag. It smelled like new paint and industrial carpet cleaner. It was the most beautiful place I had ever seen. I dropped my bag, plugged in my laptop, and got to work. I wasn't a data analyst for nothing. I was meticulous. First, I logged into my new private bank account, the one I'd opened at a completely different credit union. Then I accessed my company's HR portal. I filled out the direct deposit form, routing my entire paycheck to this new account. I hit submit. That was done. Next, the joint family emergency account, the one my father insisted I'd be on the one my salary had been propping up for years. I logged in. I ran a quick export of the last 2 years of transactions. I ran a filter, my contributions versus their withdrawals. The math was staggering, but I wasn't there to get even. I was there to get out. I calculated my exact contributions for the last pay period and transferred only that amount to my new account, not a penny more. Then I navigated to the account settings and electronically filed the form to have my name removed. The site said it would take 24 to 48 hours to process. Good enough. Finally, I took out my personal phone, the one buzzing on the counter, the one I'd silenced in the car. It was already lighting up. 7 missed calls from Mom, 3 from Dad, a string of texts from Chloe. I didn't read them. I just powered it down. I took out the SIM card, snapped it in half, and dropped it in the kitchen trash. Then I opened a brand new box, a simple prepaid smartphone. I powered it on. The screen lit up clean and empty. No contacts, no history. I sent one text to my cousin Rachel. I'm out. I'm safe. We'll call you in a few days. I knew she'd understand. I sat on the floor, leaning against the cold drywall, and watched the snow fall over the city lights. For the first time, I was totally, completely alone. And for the first time, I was totally, completely safe. The next day was Christmas. The new condo was silent. My phone was quiet. I ordered Thai food and watched movies on my laptop propped up on the air mattress. It was the most peaceful holiday of my entire adult life. That evening, a sick kind of curiosity got the best of me. I opened an incognito browser tab and went to my mother's public Instagram. And there it was. A photo posted just an hour ago. The whole family minus one gathered by the giant stone fireplace. They were all in matching red flannel pajamas. Even my father was wearing them, his face a mask of forced holiday cheer. Chloe was front and center, holding a wine glass, smiling like she'd just won the lottery. My mother was next to her arm, draped around her precious daughter. The caption was what gutted me. So blessed to be with my whole family this Christmas. It's the moments with the ones you love that matter most. The whole family. The lie was so blatant, so absolute, it stung. And as I sat there in the empty room, I suddenly felt this sharp, overwhelming pang of grief. I opened a folder on my laptop labeled Personal and clicked on a photo from years ago, a Christmas when I was maybe 19. We were in our old living room, not some rented cabin. The tree was crooked, and we were wearing mismatched, stupid sweaters. But in the photo, my dad was laughing, a real laugh, and even Chloe had her arm around me. We looked happy. We looked like a real family. I grieved right then, not for the cold, hard people in that Instagram post. I grieved for the idea of the family in that old photo. The family I kept trying to save, the family I kept paying for, hoping one day they'd magically reappear. The family I deserved, but never really had. I let myself cry, just for a minute, for the loss of a fantasy. Then I wiped my eyes, closed the laptop, and stood up. That grief didn't make me want to go back. It did. The day after Christmas, my old powered-down phone became a case study in their predictable cycle of abuse. I turned it on out of pure clinical curiosity, and the notifications flooded in. It was like watching a hive of angry hornets. The first texts were from Chloe. She'd clearly woken up and tried to go shopping. My card was declined. Sarah, what the hell? I'm at the checkout. Fix this now. I'm not joking, I look stupid. Pick up your phone. Then came my mother's a few hours later after Chloe had undoubtedly gone home and cried to her. Sarah, your sister is very upset. You've embarrassed her. This is not how family behaves. Your father and I are deeply disappointed in you. You've broken your father's heart. Call me the second you get this. We need to discuss your attitude. My father's was a single, pathetic email to my old address. Your mother is just worried. This has all been a misunderstanding. Please call us. I read them one by one and felt nothing. Just a cold, flat confirmation that I had done the right thing. Then an email from a name I didn't recognize. It was from the owner of the luxury log cabin. He was writing to me, as my name was on the original booking inquiry from months ago. He said there was significant damage to the kitchen island, a large wine stain on a rug, and several expensive throw blankets were missing. The security deposit wouldn't cover it. He attached an itemized invoice for $2,000 for $200. I looked at it. I could almost picture Chloe drunk on my mother's praise, sloshing wine around. I could see my parents so desperate to maintain the illusion of wealth that they'd just leave. I didn't reply to the owner. Instead, I calmly drafted a new email. I forwarded the invoice and all the attached photos directly to my father's work address. I knew he checked it compulsively. I put one line in the subject. Per our last conversation, I am no longer involved. I didn't write a single word in the body of the email. I just hit send. Then I logged into my new bank account. I initiated one last transfer to my mother's checking account, $3,000. I labeled it Final Severance. Do not contact. One by one, I blocked Chloe's number, my mother's number, my father's number. I blocked their email addresses. I blocked my aunts, my uncles, anyone who might be used as a flying monkey. I scrubbed my social media, locking everything down to friends only, and then deleting half my friends. I created a new sterile LinkedIn profile and set my old one to private. Then I shut down the old phone, and this time I didn't just take the SIM card out. I walked to the condo's trash chute, and I dropped the entire device in. I listened until I heard it hit the bottom 10 floors down. Done. The next 2 weeks were the quietest of my life. I bought a real bed. I bought a coffee maker and a set of white towels. I went to work, came home, cooked dinner, and slept through the entire night, every night. The knot of dread that had lived in my stomach since I was a teenager, it just dissolved. I was finally breathing. I was thriving. I really truly thought it was over. And then I got the email. It was from my manager. Just one line. Hey, Sarah, do you have a minute to pop into my office? HR wants to have a quick chat. A quick chat. With HR. My blood ran cold. I walked from my desk to his office, my heart hammering against my ribs. The HR representative was already sitting there. Neither of them was smiling. Sarah, thanks for coming in, my manager started, and his voice was stiff, formal. We've received an anonymous report. The HR rep slid a printed piece of paper across the table. I read it. It wasn't just a she's a bad person email. This was an intelligent, targeted, and professional attack. The anonymous sender, who claimed to be a concerned colleague, accused me, a senior data analyst, of erratic behavior and suspicious activity. It said I was using my high-level access to manipulate company financial data. It claimed I was a severe security risk and was suffering from a severe, untreated personality disorder that made me vindictive and unstable. It was a corporate assassination written in their language. It used terms from my own profession, my profession. This wasn't my mom's clumsy guilt-tripping. This wasn't Chloe's blunt force entitlement. This was calculated. I stared at the words manipulating financial data. This could end my career, not just at this company, everywhere. I don't understand, I stammered, but my mind was racing. Chloe. She had to have gotten someone to help her write this. Someone who knew this world. Sarah, the HR rep, said, I want to be clear, this is just an allegation, but we have to investigate every report, especially one that involves data integrity. For the next 48 hours, my life was a living hell. I was put on administrative leave. I had to sit with our internal security team and walk them through months of my activity logs line by line. I had to explain my access patterns, my queries, the reports I'd pulled. Every keystroke was under scrutiny. They were polite, but it was an interrogation. I felt like a criminal. On the third day, they cleared me completely. The security lead confirmed I hadn't done a single thing outside my job description. My access was, in his words, impeccable. I was cleared, but I was deeply, profoundly shaken. I walked out of that office, and my manager apologized, saying it was just a formality, but the damage was done. The seed was planted. I could feel the way people looked at me in the hallway, the way they stopped talking when I walked into the kitchen. I had survived. But I finally understood. This wasn't a family squabble. This wasn't about $80,000. This was a siege. They hadn't just tried to get my money. They had just tried to destroy my livelihood. They had tried to tear down the one thing I had built for myself, the one thing they couldn't touch. I got in my car, drove back to my quiet condo, and for the first time since I left, I was truly, terrifyingly angry. I was shaking, but not from fear. It was pure, distilled rage, the kind that makes you cold, the kind that makes you clear. I picked up my new phone, the one with only one contact in it, and I called Rachel. She picked up on the second ring. Sarah, are you okay? I saw your text about... They tried to get me fired, I said. My voice was flat. I didn't even say hello. There was a pause. What? Sarah? What are you talking about? I explained it. The anonymous email. The concerned colleague. The specific corporate language. The accusations of data manipulation. The 48 hours of interrogation while I was on administrative leave, proving my own innocence. Rachel was quiet. When she finally spoke, her voice was different. The concerned cousin was gone, and the law student had taken her place. That's, Sarah, that's not just slander. That's defamation. That's tortious interference with a business contract. You could sue. I know, I said, pacing my small living room. It was so smart, Rachel. It was targeted. They knew exactly what to say to hurt me, to ruin me. Sarah, she said, and I heard her take a deep, hesitant breath. I'm glad you called, because it's worse. It just got so much worse. What do you mean worse? My stomach dropped. What's worse than trying to end my career? You just need to see this. A second later, a text came through. It wasn't a screenshot, it was a link. My hand was unsteady as I clicked it. The page loaded. It was one of those Fund My Life donation sites, the kind of place you go to raise money for a mission trip or a sick pet. The banner photo was a picture of Chloe and my mother huddled together on the sofa in my parents' living room. They were looking at the camera with identical, grief-stricken expressions. And then I read the text. The title of the campaign was Saving Our Sarah. The post written by Chloe was a masterpiece of pathological fiction. It was a long, rambling story about me, her beloved older sister, how I had apparently been struggling for years with a high-stress job, how I'd had a severe mental breakdown right before Christmas. It said I had lost my job. The HR report was clearly meant to make this part true. It said I was now lost and vulnerable, mentally unstable, and in deep financial trouble. It said I was too proud and too unwell to ask for help, so she, my loving sister, was asking for me. At the bottom of the post was a progress bar with a goal of $10 to $1,000 and a big bright blue Donate Now button. The donations, it said, would be used to fund Sarah's recovery and help her get back on her feet. All funds, of course, were processed directly into a bank account. I would bet my entire life's savings it was Chloe's. They were monetizing my downfall. They had tried to create my downfall with the HR report, and then, without even waiting to see if it worked, they had started collecting money for it. I felt something crack open inside me. I almost laughed. It was so perfect. So them. She's collecting money, I said, my voice hollow. Sarah. She sent it to everyone. Rachel said, her voice rising in panic. Aunt Susan, your old neighbors from high school. She's telling the whole family you're mentally ill. And that was it. That was the moment. The final piece of the puzzle slid into place. It wasn't just about the last few weeks. It was about my entire life. It all snapped into perfect, terrible clarity. This is the system, I said, speaking my thoughts out loud. What? What system? Rachel asked. The family system, I said. I've been reading about it. I didn't want to believe it. It's a classic narcissistic family structure. I stopped pacing. I could see it all. Chloe is the golden child. She's the one who is perfect, the one who is beautiful, the one who can do no wrong. She's entitled to everything. My money, my time, my life. And I took a breath. I'm the scapegoat. The word felt heavy, but it was true. I was the one who existed for one reason, to carry all the family's problems. The one who exists to fix their messes, fund their fantasies, to be blamed for their failures, and to absorb all their rage. They aren't trying to save me, Rachel, I said, my voice cold and hard. They aren't even trying to get me back. They are trying to destroy the version of me that escaped, the me that said no. They cannot let that version of me exist, because if I can be successful and happy without them, the entire system collapses. It proves their whole world is a lie. My God, Sarah, what are you going to do? I'm calling a lawyer, I said. Not for a consultation. I am retaining one. Right now. I sat at my laptop and started dragging files into a new folder. The original texts demanding the $80,000, the invoice for the cabin damages, the printout of the HR report, and the link to this fraud. My phone buzzed again. A new text from Rachel. I was still on hold with the lawyer's office listening to classical music. I opened the message. Sarah, the text read. It's even worse. I'm in a family group chat that you were never in. My mom added me years ago and I just muted it. I just saw this. It wasn't a link. It was a screenshot. My blood turned to ice. It was a group chat. The participants, my mother, my father, Chloe, my Aunt Susan. The messages were from 3 weeks ago, before the Christmas ambush. It was Chloe talking about her credit card debts. But then a message from my father, from David, my passive, quiet, hates conflict father. His message read, "Distant relatives are the better bet. Let me and your mother handle them. We'll tell them I'm sick again." I scrolled down. Another message from him. The experimental treatment angle always works. They'll feel guilty if they don't contribute. It's a more reliable source than trying to pin Sarah down. My vision tunneled. It wasn't just one plan. It was two. They were running a second simultaneous scam. They weren't just plotting to take my savings. They were actively running a grift on the other side of the family, claiming my father was sick. He wasn't an enabler. He wasn't a passive conflict-avoidant man who was just steamrolled by my mother. He was an accomplice. He was the architect. The entire family unit. The entire thing was a corrupt, fraudulent machine. And I hadn't just been the family ATM. I had been the collateral, the one they kept around to fix the real problems while they ran their cons. The music in my ear stopped. A polite voice said, "Harris Law Firm, how can I help you?" I picked up the phone. My voice was dead calm. "Hi," I said. "My name is Sarah. I need to retain one of your senior partners for harassment, defamation, and multiple counts of wire fraud. And yes, I'll be paying the full retainer. Right now, my lawyer was in a word surgical. She didn't just send a letter. She sent a full-blown cease-and-desist packet via certified mail return receipt requested to my parents' house, addressed to all three of them, Jennifer, David, and Chloe. The letter was a masterpiece of cold legal precision. It cited the specific statutes for harassment, defamation of character, tortious interference, and most beautifully wire fraud. It referenced the anonymous HR report, the fraudulent donation campaign which her office had already reported to the platform, and the conspiracy to commit fraud evidenced by my father's own text messages. The letter demanded they immediately stop all contact, dissolve the donation campaign, and issue a public retraction to the family members they'd lied to. It also stated that any further attempts to contact me, my employer, or my associates would result in immediate legal action to the fullest extent of the law. But I knew a letter wasn't enough. They would just spin it. They would tell the family I was mentally ill and ungrateful, that I was being manipulated by a lawyer. They would play the victim. They always did. I needed something that couldn't be spun. I needed the truth in my own voice. So I made one final move. I sat in my empty condo. I turned on my laptop's webcam. I hit record. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I looked directly into the camera, and I just stated the facts. "Hello, family," I started. "My name is Sarah. And since I'm sure you're hearing a lot of stories about me right now, I wanted to tell you the truth, just once. This video is that truth." For 2 minutes, I calmly laid it all out. On Christmas Eve, I was given an ultimatum gift, my entire house down payment, $80,000 to my sister Chloe, or be exiled from the family. I chose to leave. I put up a screenshot of Chloe's first text, "Fix this." When I refused, a targeted attack began. An anonymous email was sent to my employer's HR department, accusing me of financial crimes and trying to get me fired. Here is a copy of that email. I displayed the text of the report. At the same time, my sister Chloe launched a fraudulent donation campaign, claiming I was mentally ill and had lost my job. She was collecting money in my name. Here is the link to that campaign and the bank account it was tied to. I showed the screenshot of the donation page. And finally I said, my voice never wavering, "I want to be clear, this wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a coordinated plan." Here is a screenshot from a different family group chat showing my father David planning to run a separate scam on distant relatives, pretending to be sick to get money for fake treatments. This while they were demanding my life savings. I put my father's texts up on the screen. The final undeniable proof. "I am not sick," I concluded. "I am not lost. I am not in trouble. I am free. I have a lawyer, and I have filed police reports. This video is the last time I will ever speak of this. Show this to anyone who has questions. Goodbye." I stopped recording. I attached the screenshots as separate files. I put it all in a single encrypted folder and emailed the link to Rachel. My text to her was simple. You'll know what to do with this. Show it to anyone who asks. Anyone. Thank you for everything. I'll be in touch when I'm settled. Settled where she texted back. Somewhere new, I replied. Then I wiped my laptop, I packed my few belongings, and I broke my lease. I forwarded my mail to a secure P.O. box. I took the new better-paying job I'd been offered in a new city 6 states away. I put my condo's furniture in storage, and I got on a plane with 1 suitcase and my new work laptop, and I vanished. A year passed. A year of quiet. A year of sleeping through the night. A year of therapy. A year of walking in a new park, in a new city where no one knew my last name. A year of building a life, not just a fortress. It was Christmas Eve. I was in my own home, a small 2-bedroom house I had bought with my down payment. It had a little porch and a big kitchen. It was all mine. I was in the kitchen flour on my hands, baking cookies for myself. Christmas music was playing the kind I actually liked. The tree I'd bought was covered in simple white lights. It was perfect. My phone buzzed on the counter, my real phone with my real number. I picked it up. It was a text from Rachel. We didn't talk often, just enough. Hey, Sarah, it read. Merry Christmas. Just thought you might want to know. Aunt Susan called my mom. Apparently, Chloe is being officially investigated for wire fraud. The donation site flagged her account and reported her after she tried to fight them on it. It's not looking good for her. I read the message. I read it twice. I thought I would feel something. A rush of victory. A spike of anger. A dark little flicker of joy. But I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness, not even satisfaction, just quiet. Like reading a news story about a stranger in a different country, a country I had no plans to ever visit again. She was just a name on a screen, a ghost from a different life. I held my thumb over the message. Then I pressed down, hit delete, and wiped the conversation. I put my phone on silent, turned the music up a little louder, and went back to my cookies. I looked around my warm, peaceful, quiet kitchen. The smell of baking, the glow of the tree. Peace wasn't something they withheld from me. It was something I had to go out and build for myself from the ground up. And I was finally home,